If you've never heard of Justin Bieber, you either don't own a television or know a teenage girl. It's safe to say that all over the world, teens and tweens have caught Bieber fever. These days, it seems the whole world is on the Bieber bandwagon. But what many don't know is that he almost missed his cue.
All the drugs and all the alcohol and all the life I was living and just the bad relationships I was in, and I was depressed and angry, and I just snapped one day and I said, like, I want to die. And
Patty Millette is Bieber's mother. As a teenager, she tried to commit suicide.
I ran outside and I thought I timed it perfectly. I was on a pretty busy street. I tried to kill myself and get hit by a car. And there was a side street, and he slammed on the brakes and turned down the side street, and I was so angry and embarrassed and ashamed that, you know, I didn't get hit. I don't know, it was crazy. I was a teenager, just hurting, just wanting an escape.
Millette was used to escaping. At 15, she left home. For years, she'd been keeping a dark secret.
The sexual abuse in my life started when I was about 5 years old until I was about 10 or so.
She admits she bottled her emotions from the sexual abuse with bottles of a different kind.
When I became a teenager, that's sort of when I started exploring with drugs and alcohol and some things to try and relieve the pain that way, and just experimented with crime and the wrong kinds of people, and just trying to do anything to, you know, get some joy.
Though escape was the goal, ironically, after her failed suicide attempt, she lost her freedom, ending up in the mental health ward of a hospital. And that's where, she says, she met God.
I used to hang out at a youth center, and the director of the youth center was a Christian man, and we used to have talks about God here and there. And he ended up coming in to visit me in the hospital. And he brought me a rose, brought me a flower. And I thought, okay, well, people bring people flowers in the hospital, that's nice. And he said, I want you to know that God told me to bring this to you, and he wants me to tell you that he sees you like this rose.
The man was an outreach worker with Youth for Christ, a faith-based organization that mentors teens. His God talks, she says, went in one ear and out the next. But she listened because he spoke an important teenage language, fast food.
He would bring in food, and he would talk to me about God, and I would really, in my heart, be rolling my eyes in the back of my head, thinking, man, he talks a lot about God. It's not even Sunday.
But that changed when he said something that forced her to reflect on what her life had become.
He just said, well, you know, you try to kill yourself. You don't even want to live anymore. You don't want to, you know, you don't want your life. And God created you with a plan and a purpose. What do you have to lose by giving God a chance to see what his plan is for you, what he can do for you? And I couldn't even roll my eyes in my heart at that one. Like, I was just stumped. I thought, you know, I'm at rock bottom. I have nowhere to go. I have nothing to lose by giving him a chance if he's real.
Millette gave God a chance on one condition.
I remember saying in the prayer, God, you know, if I follow you and I have you live my life, I know you don't like drugs and alcohol, and I really like my drugs and alcohol, so you better be better than drugs and alcohol, because I don't want to give it up if you're not better.
She gave up drugs and alcohol that day. Months later, after falling back into old habits, she wound up alone and pregnant.
I thought, oh my gosh, I took my life back into my own hands, and I'm all by myself, and I'm pregnant. God, help me. Oh my gosh. I give my life back to you wholeheartedly. I don't ever want to go back to that life. Please, will you please, please take me back and just help me?
On March 1st, 1994, Justin Drew Bieber was born, and Millette found her way back to this place, Jubilee Christian Fellowship in Stratford, Ontario.
They just embraced me wholeheartedly, and they just mothered me and fathered me, and I just had so many mothers and fathers that just loved on me unconditionally and just taught me about God's love and His mercy.
John Bootsma is currently senior pastor of the church. He says at Jubilee, the motto has always been, what would Jesus do?
And so we had people that were very familiar with the drug culture, the alcohol culture. They were not accepted by others, and we felt like that's who Jesus would go for. And so the people in the church at that season also went for them. So it became part of the culture here at Jubilee.
Right from the beginning, Bootsma says, it was clear Justin had a gift.
Well, as a little boy, Justin was absolutely enthralled with the drums, with the musical instruments. And so as soon as Patty would take him here for service, he would make his way to the drums. If they were vacant, if they weren't being used, he wanted on them. And he had an incredible sense of rhythm and beat.
According to Bootsma, Jubilee was one of Justin's last stops before he and his mom left to launch his career.
And he came because we had a bit of a talent show, and it was the fun time when the local church would gather together. We'd open it up to the neighborhood, and Justin just suddenly showed up and said, hey, can I play? And we said, sure.
But no one could have guessed that the little boy who wowed congregations with this would grow up to be this. But it wasn't all about the music. Justin also enjoyed the church's other resources, and many of the books in the library illustrate that.
We feel like we've got excellent materials that really help people to grow in their faith, to be grounded and founded in it, even the kids' materials. And so Justin, like any child, would appreciate and enjoy the videos or the books that we had. Justin, for example, signed these ones that we took a quick look, and we found 6 that his name is on the card.
About what's happening now.
Though Millette started attending another church when Justin was 6, and despite the fact that her son is selling out arenas around the world, Bootsma says she keeps in touch.
We have a relationship with Patty to a degree. Patty has a prayer list. She's got a certain number of confidence that she keeps in her confidence, and so she sends out a prayer list to a few of them that are here, and so we will lift him up at least on a weekly basis and sometimes more often publicly. We feel like God has his hands on Justin and on Patty for such a time as this, and we recognize the influence that he's got, and so we pray for him, and prayer is powerful.
And no one knows that more than a young woman from Stratford, Ontario, who prayed for God to meet her where she was.
I mean, I have a 14-year-old child now who is not just healthy, but he's so talented and he's so beautiful and he's so gifted and he's just got the biggest heart, and I'm just so unbelievably blessed, and I don't deserve it one bit from my own doing, from anything that I've done. It's just the goodness of God.
In Burlington, Ontario, Bridget Entry, 100 Huntley Street.